Hello everyone, hope you're having a wonderful day. I've got a build for you today which is a church, and I actually made this back in like April, I think. It was after my treehouse build. And the reason why I thought to build this was because I wanted to do like a church in the Sylvan Glade, but I never really got round to it. Also, the lot is tiny in there and you wouldn't be able to use it. So it's kind of a pointless build. So instead, what I thought is I'd do a build in Willow Creek instead. Is this Willow Creek? I think so. I get names all mixed up. But yeah, and this was actually supposed to come out while I was on holiday, but I'm a terrible YouTuber, so it didn't happen. I'm sorry. So you guys got 2 weeks of no videos, and the one which I released, which was the barn, which was my most recent build, that one was also supposed to be over there, and there was supposed to be another one too which I was supposed to release, but I didn't release any of them, and I have some excuses, but there's not really an excuse. I was just disorganized. My game did crash and I had to reinstall it, and Origin and a whole load of other things, and then it still wouldn't work, and then I'd had to do it again. But had I actually not left it to the last day, then I probably would have got it done anyway. Yeah. But so I did this thing with the roofing, and it's like this cross pattern, and I think it's really, really pretty. Actually got inspiration from another. It was like a church thing, but it was really quite different from this. But it had a similar sort of thing with the roofing. I think it was actually from the inside, like the beams on the inside. That's what gave me the inspiration. But yeah, and at the moment I'm trying something else with the roofing to do this sort of cross pattern. And actually looking at it now, it does look really, really cool. But it looks like something that maybe might be modern. So maybe I could do a build in like with that kind of style, with the same kind of roofing pattern, and make it sort of modern. I think that could look really, really cool, but I think for this it didn't quite fit. It looked a little bit too like abstract and a little bit too out there. So I ended up going for the paneling, and I thought, well, so far everything I've used is base game and get together, so why not carry on using it? And actually, I kept on doing that, and I really, really, really tried to stick by just using get together and base game objects. So that's what I've named this build to be. But actually, what happened was there was an object which I forgot that wasn't part of the base game. I honestly forgot it wasn't part of the base game, and it was only until like after I'd finished building, and I think I was like moving one of the like a different object around, like I might have been like editing the lighting or something off camera, and then I realised, and it's the candles from Spa Day. I completely and utterly forgot that they were from Spa Day and they weren't just with the base game. But what I do use is I do use some get together candles, like some different ones, and what you can do is you can just replace where they would be with the other candles, or they might automatically replace for you. There's also the ones from the base game that are just like they aren't the ones which light up, but they would work really well. And there's also the ones from the most recent packs. I think there was one in the backyard one, where there's like candles, and then like in little things, and I think there's also one or a couple actually from the dine out pack. So you've got quite a few options if you don't have the Spa Day pack, even if there's even there's options in base game even if you don't have any of those other ones that I mentioned. So I think you'll be all right. And I didn't actually change it. I didn't take it out. I was tempted to, and I was tempted to change it, but for those of you who do have Spa Day, I left it in because I did think that those ones work better. When I built this, it was before Dine Out and backyard stuff, which I still haven't actually bought. I haven't got around to buying because I was on the holiday at the time when I think it was released, or it was just beforehand, something like that. but I haven't had a chance to actually buy it yet, and test it out or anything like that. But I've watched a couple of YouTube videos since I've got back, and seen people use some of the objects which are now in, the newer game pack thing. Yeah, I've used like orange for the roofing. I thought that was actually quite a cool effect, I guess. I'm not sure why I wanted to do that. I just when I saw the thing, I just thought it would look really cool. But what I do here is I think about doing like a drop down bit so that you've got like a raised platform for where, if this was like a real church, that might be where I forgot what they're called, but where like a priest would stand, and where the wedding arch would be maybe. But that was the idea of it. But I ended up changing it because it actually, with the stairs, it actually took out a whole big chunk of the space, like the usable space. And I actually thought like the practicality of it, if your Sims were having a wedding at the top, they'd all probably like all gather around right like on the actual, because it will be a different room. They'll go up onto that platform instead of sitting down in the main area, and I just thought it would be a complete and utter nightmare for you guys. So I actually end up leveling it out. But the reason why I left it in is if you've got more space or you need some ideas, I thought that maybe this might give you some ideas. Also, I tend to cut things out. Like, I cut things out when I make mistakes so that it's easier for you guys to see. But sometimes I do like to leave them in because you guys might still get some inspiration from it, even if it doesn't quite work, or at least I don't think it quite works for the build which I'm making. It might work for your builds, or you might actually prefer it, so you might want to replicate what I did and change what it was. So yeah, that was the thought behind it. Yeah, but if you were wondering about my holiday, I had a very, very good time. I went to a region in France. I think it's called Dordogne. I don't know whether that's how you properly say it, but that's how my parents have always told me that it's pronounced, so that's how I did it. But we used to I used to go there with my family sometimes as a kid, but we'd go to like a campsite that was like had caravans already there, and it was quite really massive, complex sort of thing, and so we didn't actually do much exploring of the area. This time, however, we've got our own caravan and tents and stuff, so we went and did that instead in like a smaller place. And so what we were doing is we were doing like normal holiday stuff, like chilling by the pool and just relaxing and that kind of thing during the day. And then in the evening, what we do is we decided to like say we'll go to a new town or a new a village or something like that every evening, and we go and explore it. And so the reason why we went in the evening was because the temperature would have cooled by that point. It was really, really, really hot. We've been having some amazing weather recently in Europe, from what I've seen anyway, in the UK and in France, and from what I've heard other people say. It's been really, really lovely weather with really, really sunny and like temperatures of maybe up to like 35 or 36 degrees Celsius. Don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, I'm really sorry. I know that for a lot of places that's probably, not very hot, but for where I'm from and what I'm used to, that's really, really, really hot. So exploring in the daytime underneath the sun and in that heat is really, really difficult. So we decided to go in the evening instead, and the region is so beautiful. Like, I could not get over it. There were like I have a tendency to call hills mountains, even though really they're just big hills. It was hills and like cliff sides and so many castles, like a ridiculous amount of castles. It's like you might see one view, like we would go onto like a top of a cliffside or a hill, and from that view we could see like 4 or 5 different castles and like hot air balloons and like a river going through. It was just so phenomenally beautiful. I couldn't get over it. I really want to go back actually and experience, like I wouldn't mind mind going back to those places that I did last time, because it was just so stunning. And even like the architecture that was there, quite a lot of it was sort of medieval, or I don't really know, really old anyway, and it was all made out of the same stone that was made from the cliffs around it. Yeah, it was stunning, and I recommend going there if you want to, if you're ever in France. In my personal opinion, when I've been to Paris, not really enjoyed it that much. I would say that this is a much nicer place to go. But enough about my holiday. This is a room. I can't remember what room it is, but if you type in like paintings into the gallery, I'm sure this will turn up. But these are paintings that someone's actually painted, like Sims have painted, and I wanted to include these because I thought whenever, because I used to go to a school, even though I'm actually not religious, not that really matters, but I used to go to a Church of England school. And we used to go to the church, or we used to have a vicar come in and give us like an assembly every week, and we used to do like quite a lot of things with the church. So quite often, like the artwork from my primary school would be up around the church. So it was kind of that idea. I thought that maybe it would be like a community thing, like people had donated paintings which they'd done, or it might have been with like schools or colleges or whatever nearby. They sort of donated their artwork to show in the church. I also thought that it was something that everyone's going to have, because they're going to be base game items, so it adds like an extra interest, rather than, because I don't know, sometimes it can be a bit difficult with the paintings. There isn't enough variety sometimes to get something that, I didn't feel like they really suited. I felt like the ones that would have suited were like the really fancy ones, and it didn't feel right to me, because I felt like this is more like a community place, even though it's not really modern architecture, which maybe a lot of the paintings sort of fit into. But yeah, so you'll see along the side, though, those are the little candles, but they're sort of on the little tables. Quite a lot of the churches I've been to, when I've been like visiting some as a tourist around Europe, they've had, and in the UK as well actually, they have the tables on the side and they have the candles, and then you light them and maybe do a prayer or something. I'm not entirely sure. Again, I'm not actually religious, so I don't really know how that works, but yeah, that's what they do. But what I'm trying to do here is do a what are they called? Pulpit? Is that it? Vaguely, we went and visited a really huge church that was beautiful. It had like it seemed like Arabic influences from the outside, but I don't know enough about that kind of stuff to really say for certain. But we went and saw one, and they had one there, and it was carved out of this like beautiful wood, like carving thing. It was so elaborate and so beautiful. But I can't remember the name of the city, and I butcher French pronunciation. I'm so bad at French. I'm terrible. I don't know what it is about the language. I just cannot speak French, no matter how hard I try. I don't know how, I don't know what it is. My brain just doesn't work when it comes to French. It just does not want to pronounce things. But it was in the biggest city in the region. But yeah, I tried to create one of those so that like that kind of effect, but I couldn't really do it, so I just put a microphone there, and by putting that in, it now means that this lot can actually be used as a lounge. So I'm pretty sure you can have a wedding in a lounge, although I'm not 100%. I'm like 80% sure you can have a wedding in a lounge. It makes most sense to me. But recently what I've been doing, or in some of the builds which I've been doing, some of them I haven't released, but what I've been experimenting with is actually doing different styles of landscaping and different things with the plants. So with this, I used a lot more sort of bushes. I have a tendency to make things kind of like a wild, colourful meadow. But with this, I tried to make it more structured, but still like full and kind of messy. But with more like rose bushes and with pinks and purples. And I put the lavender in there, but it's mostly just and a little bit of that. Can't remember what it's called. Is it like low-lying flowers? Is that what it's called in the thing? But the green one, which is kind of which is like a staple in any sort of landscaping, I feel like the one that most people use. Anyway, I used that one, but other than that, it was all really bushes and the and the pink flowers, I guess. So actually there's a good mixture, but that was sort of the basis for it. I did go with a theme. Sometimes I go to like this default setting of what I do for builds with landscaping, but I've been trying to break out of that and try new things, because actually quite often, like for this build, I think it actually works way better than some of my other styles which I've done before. Anyway, but I like it. I'm a little bit out of practice. Every time I have like a break, I get a little bit out of practice, and I feel like maybe I'm rambling. It feels like I'm rambling. I might not be rambling, but it feels like I'm rambling. But for this, I did like this little thing with the flower boxes. So these are normally supposed to be on the side of buildings, and to make it so that it doesn't go onto the side of buildings, so you can just place it in wherever you want to, use the bb.moveobjects cheat. But I layered them over each other to make these kind of 8-sided octagonal, that is the word, isn't it? Octagonal boxes. But that was sort of the idea. And then I plopped like a water feature on the inside, because I thought it would be quite nice to have like the water features and stuff. But I guess the idea of this is the outdoors is kind of like a garden, and I didn't want to make it into like a graveyard or anything, but I thought that it might be quite nice. This is really a wedding lot, and that's what the purpose of it is. I mean, you can use it for other things if you want to, but that was like the main purpose of this lot, so that it was a place for you guys to do weddings. So maybe that would just be a garden out the back, but you can maybe pretend with your Sims that they organised it so that it would be like with a bar and stuff, so that it was better for the actual wedding or whatever. But yeah, I think I'm coming to the end now pretty soon anyway. But all we have left to do is we put in some more sort of shrubbery and a floating plant. Wonderful. But we put in some shrubbery, and we like do a thing around the side for like enclosed for the bins. But that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. If you guys have any requests for things that you want me to build, please leave them in the comments and I will try and do them for you. I have more time now, so I can do more builds for you guys. But yeah, so yeah, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you again soon.